When a man asks, "So, do you have children?" do not tell this man the truth. Here are 2 ways to respond instead. Save this video to your favorites now. Some of y'all are probably getting asked this question online in the next few minutes, okay? I don't know. Why is withholding necessary? Well, because your number one job as a mother is to protect your children. You need time to vet the stranger and his intentions. Okay? We're going to do a little verbal exercise. I'm going to need you to help me fill in the blank on the rest of this. What are we protecting our children from? Chester, the child. Yeah, did you get that? This is the number one issue you are facing, okay? Just like you wouldn't offer up your finances, you should never offer up details about your children either. The right time to share this is after you have determined he's trustworthy and capable of providing in both cases. Just because you're on a date with him tonight doesn't mean you're ever going to see this man again. So why offer up your children? Okay, sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but here are the 2 responses that work and why. Number 1, you could say something like, "I like to think I'll be a great mom when the time comes. How about you? Do you want children?" He doesn't need to know the time for motherhood is like today, okay? And number 2, you could say something like, "Oh, I love the idea of having children one day." This keeps things vague and forward-looking, making it easy to redirect the conversation. And for those of you who are grappling with the moral dilemma of lying, ask yourself this. If protecting your children's safety means withholding the truth until you know a man's intentions, is this really a moral dilemma? Do you owe the stranger the truth or your kids their safety? Like and follow for more. When a man asks...
Yeah, I had to stand up for that one. Lying as liar. What do you think, ladies, will happen when a man asks you, "Do you have children?" and you give those responses that young lady is proposing that you give? Do you think he's going to say, "Oh, you know what? I see that you are simply only trying to protect your children, and that demonstrates to me that you are a good mother, and that if we were to have children, and for some unforsaken reason we were to separate from one another, I know that you're going to protect my children in the same way that you were protecting your own when we first met. So yes, you're my kind of woman." That shit does not happen. That is not what a man is going to think. When a man finds out later on, after you've validated that he is not there to be the Chester dude that she spoke of, that you are a good provider, you're not going to sit up there and say, "Oh yeah," you're going to say, "You're a lying ass liar. I cannot trust this woman. I know that this woman will lie, cheat, and steal in order to get whatever she desires to have in life. And that she is not looking at me as a man, as a person, as a character. She's only looking at me for what I can provide for her and little Larry and them and some benefits. And that is all she is looking for." And at first, I thought when I went to the comments that women were going to be saying, "No, I would never do that." And many women did say, "I would never lie about my children, the fact that I have my children." And her trying to make this wrong and right by suggesting that you're doing this for the protection of your children, a lot of women saw through that bullshit, and I'm glad that they did. But there were also many who said, "That's right, girl, protect the kids, protect the kids." You're not protecting the children in this one. You're not. You're just lying. It's just a simple lie. So you see, I used to ask that question within the first week or so, or even on the first date, or before we even have a conversation. Well, before we went out on a date, when we were just having conversation, simply because, one, I had small children at the time frame. And I wanted to know if the other person had small children as well, or if they had grown children, because it may present a problem with me having small children and they have grown children, or it may present a problem if they don't have children at all, or I need to know what I'm getting into. If I were to get into this relationship, am I taking on more responsibility of more children? And it may be something I don't want to do. And then as I got older and my children got older, that question became even more valid because I'm not having any more children. I was not starting over. At age 37, I'm not having any more children. So one, you need to already have your kids. So if you don't have any, I don't want you asking me for any children. Let me tell you a quick story. So I met this young lady. When I first met her, she came into my popcorn shop. We talked, had a great conversation. She stayed there for hours. She told me that she had a son. And that was cool. We continued. She would stop by the shop every day after she got off work. It was on her way home. We would have conversations. We got to know each other a little bit more. I expressed to her within the first week that I'm glad you already have a son. Your son is a little bit younger than my kids, but that's okay. I'm not having any more children. Don't plan on having any more children. Matter of fact, when my son was 7 months in the womb, my last one, I went to the doctor to make sure that I'm not going to have any more children. Express these things clearly, and that if she wanted to have more children, I'm not the kind of guy she should be with. She said she didn't want to have any more kids. That was great. Well, about 6-7 months later, she starts to come and tell me that, oh, hey, you know what? I've been doing some research. And in that research, I realized that you have a 70% chance of having children if you get your vasectomy reversed. Where did that come from? And when I asked her, why are you researching this? Why are you asking this question? Oh, well, I was just looking at your daughters and such, and I just think that we will have a beautiful little girl, and I want to have a little girl. Well, needless to say, that relationship ended very quickly and abruptly because I'm not having any more children. I made that expressively clear in the very beginning. So when you lie, you are setting up a situation to end the relationship. You can call it protection, but it's not. And I thought that this young lady was simply a little bit delusional. But then I went and looked at her page, and her whole page is simply about women finding men with money. And she doubled down on the lying part.
Man asks, so what do you do for work? Do not tell this man the truth. Here are 3 ways to respond instead. Now, be sure to add this post to your favorites now so you have this to come back to. A lot of y'all have been like, I get this question right out of the gate, so be sure to save it now. I'll wait. Now, for those of you that are like, but V, should I lie? Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you to do. Why? Because broke men will use this question to see what they can get from you. Go ahead, tell him the truth. Next thing you know, he's calling you big money. Has this ever happened to you? If so...
Now, I couldn't stand the rest of that video, but I wanted you guys to see how this lady doubles down on the lying part. And generally, this question comes up as far as what do you do, not as a question of a man trying to figure out if he can gain from you, but most of the time it comes up because that's just general conversation that most people have when they're getting to know someone. It's a general question to ask, what do you do for a living? It is not that he's looking to gain anything from you. Because if the man is self-sufficient already, then why? He doesn't really care about what you do for a living. He may be asking the question to see whether or not you are in an industry that's going to take up a lot of time. Or you in an industry that you have to be a workaholic, or just plain curiosity. Now, I noticed that on that video, and I didn't play the whole thing because I can't take this woman lying, but most of the comments were women saying, oh yeah, girl, because I experienced that. Oh yeah, girl, because when this man, he tried to find out what he could get from me. I see that she has tapped into the group of women, that niche of women that have experienced where a man has taken advantage of them. But in all of these cases, I refuse to accept that that's the case. Let me tell you a story, real quick story. It happened maybe 3-4 years ago, in a sense. 3-4 years ago, my wife realized that we had somewhat of a mutual friend connection type deal. That connection was that the fact that a young man that she knew was engaged, or he was married to a girl who was a friend of one of my exes. Now, this friend translated the fact that when me and that ex started a business, and we both put equal amounts of money and sweat equity into the business, that when the relationship ended and she was paid half of the value of that business, that it translated in her language that I took advantage of her because I still owned the business. She didn't want the business, nor any part of the business. I told her, you can have the cars, you can have the house, you can have whatever. All I care about is maintaining this business, and I will pay you out your portion of it. That part never translated. The only thing that translated is he took advantage because the business went on to grow and thrive. And so the translation of a man taking advantage of a woman is not always true. So you guys always remember, some of these women are just teaching you how to gold dig. and you don't need to do